welcome everybody to the Serpent Tarot for a sort of short and special video that I'm going to do today and publish the day before. I actually use the deck that is here in a pick a card, which we'll publish tomorrow. So this is the first card, and I'm sort of going to go through a range of the cards. Probably not show every single one because I would encourage you to watch the pick a card reading that I'm using for the deck tomorrow if you want to see the deck more in action. But I wanted to introduce the deck because it's a deck that is currently being funded on Kickstarter. So if you're interested in it, if you're one of the people, and I know there are quite a few who watch my channel and they like the sort of indie decks that I showcase, because part of what I really love to do is showcase indie decks on my channel, you might be interested in this deck. I found it incredibly beautiful, and so I backed it. And as I always do when I back a Kickstarter, or if I go to, say, an indie creator, I always ask them for the permission to use the deck on my channel. And in this case, the creator, who goes by the sort of maxim of Mad Xcot, not only said yes, but asked if I would like to get an advance copy so that I could potentially showcase it on my channel before the Kickstarter ended. And of course, I was delighted to say yes for that. Now, one of the things that's really special about this deck, and there are many things, and the details for the Kickstarter are in the description box below so that you can go and check it out for yourself, is that it doesn't just have all the major and minor arcana, but it has a number of different additional cards as well too, which is one of the things that really drew me to the deck. The first of which is seen here. I've literally just unboxed it. So I didn't think I'd film all the unboxing, but I literally just unboxed the advanced copy. And so the first of these additional cards is Existence. So there's a range of them, and I'll show you all of those, and then we'll look at a few of the major and minor arcana as well. But the thing about this, it's one of a number of, this is quite common at the moment. There's quite a lot of deck creators that are using artificial intelligence. And I just felt that this particular deck did it incredibly beautifully. And on top of that, you know, had the sort of lovely idea of having the additional cards, which, you know, as a reader, I love any tarot deck that has some additional cards. I love the depth that that will bring. So really delighted to look at it. So as I say, I'm just going to show you one by one the additional cards, and then I'll pause the video and maybe lay out some of the major arcana, lay out some of the minor arcana. So I'm not looking to this to being a very long video, but I just wanted, for those that are particularly interested in the decks that I use, that you might be interested in this one in particular, and as a thank you to the creator for sending me the advanced copy. So as I say, the first additional card is Existence, which you see is really beautiful. It looks like there's sort of like an opening in what looks like either sort of clouds or potentially some sort of great sort of mountain into sort of like something incredible and sort of new. It sort of makes me think a little bit of the Ace of Wands. Then we have Mother, which is a gorgeous sort of card to represent, I think, you know, the divine feminine, the nurturing principle, or sort of an additional sort of energy, a bit like the Empress. Knowledge. This one particularly caught my eye in the sort of pictures that were on the Kickstarter campaign. This sort of looks like a magus to me, sort of a very, very sort of ancient, knowledgeable, wise person. Fate. Is that beautiful or what? Like that really appeals to the Scorpio in me, I have to say. Mystery. I love a card like Mystery in a deck because there's some tarot decks that have, you know, blank cards, and I think it has a very similar sort of energy of something that's coming out of the unmanifest and which is yet to be truly seen. So I think that's a gorgeous card. Oracle. So I read for a lot of people on my pick a cards. I have to say a lot of my community are incredibly psychic. It comes across so strongly in the readings, and even with those that have come to me for personal readings, it sort of really doubles down on that. So I think this will be a very useful card to come up to confirm that sort of energy in readings. The Root. I love that. What's the core thing of something? What's the real base of it? It's like the IC or the Imancoli in the astrology chart, the fourth house, the root, the base of things. It also makes me think of the Tree of Life, this imagery, and how, you know, so much of our kind of psychological and spiritual sort of energy could be sort of manifested in in our particular version of the Tree of Life. Tribulation. We all can feel that sort of energy at the moment in the world, so I think this will be a very powerful card. Wish. It's a beautiful thing to follow the concept of tribulation, to come out of that and into the wish, into the sort of manifestation, into what we could actually bring into being. Imagination. Beautiful. Makes me think of Edgar Allan Poe and the Raven, actually, looking at this card. And these are the first time I'm seeing some of these, so I'm really giving you my first impression. But that sort of sense of also the psychopomp sort of energy of a raven bringing in from, you know, the sort of depths, you know, that what we can imagine, what we can bring into being. Dream. Yeah, doesn't that look like dream imagery? Isn't that beautiful? Really lovely. Ascension. Wow. Out of the sort of gross material into the spiritual. That's beautiful. And then we get to the major arcana. So I'm just going to pause the video and I'm going to lay out some of the major arcana, not all. I want to give you a bit of a teaser. I would really suggest you come and watch the video tomorrow that I'm going to publish that uses the deck, but just to give you an idea of that, and then we'll also have a look at some of the minor arcana cards as well. Just taking them a bit randomly, just to give you an idea. It's such an eerie, beautiful, otherworldly sort of feeling in there. So I think it is going to be an amazing deck to use for anything that is sort of like numinous and different and of the imagination and of the sort of liminal realms. The topic of the video that I'm going to first use this for is what new vision is arising in you, because I feel there's an enormous creative energy in these sort of images. So we have the Fool, who looks like he's actually reading and designing or thinking about something before going out on his particular exploration, which I like that sort of idea, that it's not entirely, most of the time with the Fool, we do have some learning and some understanding before we go and do something. The Magician is suitably mysterious, and I love the indigo colouring. Indigo to me is increasingly becoming an energy or a colour that's about high magic and high order angelic energy, so that really speaks to me. And the eye that seems to be formed here. The Devil, that looks like a suitable devil, sort of like the skull within the sort of animalistic energy. And the World, the creation of everything, and almost the person contemplating the world, but the world itself seems to have a person within it as well too. It's just gorgeous. It's really interesting what AI does, I think, with these sort of esoteric concepts. It seems to be a really great marriage of AI art, I think, and what the sort of numinous is all about. So I'm just going to randomly pull out 4 other major arcana cards. So we have the Hierophant. Oh, look at the green of that. Is that beautiful or what? Wow, it looks sort of stately and interesting, like the Hierophant. And I kind of like the idea of green with it because it sort of makes it, there's a kind of a heart connection to the spiritual there. Justice. Well, I'd have to contemplate that one for a while, I think. It sort of looks to me like what you might see in celestial realms when a matter of justice is being looked at, when you've got all the reds and the oranges of the ego and the life and the action in with what is being sort of created out of it. Really lovely. The Empress, we saw the Mother before, so here's another sort of like divine feminine figure. A little bit more stately than the other, which is interesting. And Strength. Yeah, that does look strong, and it's sort of solar plexus colouring and so forth, and the grounded colouring, really sort of powerful. Okay, so I'm just going to pause, and I'm going to again randomly put out some different things from the suits just for you to see a little bit of that as well. So I said it was going to be random, but I thought I might actually first start with the aces from each, because that's a pretty good sort of indication of sort of colouring and energy and so forth. So with Ace of Wands with the red, it seems like there's a very strong sort of emphasis on a face in each of these. So I think it links it very much with people. So the sort of red energy around the Ace of Wands. And I find it interesting, this almost looks like a kind of a castle or a kingdom here, you know, coming into one's power and one's ambition. cups, we have the blue, the energy sort of water, the sort of colouring for water, and the cup itself, and this looks a more strong, fierce face. This looks, I think, to me, the sort of more emotional, the more contemplative. Ace of Swords I find fascinating because for a start, the face is a little bit hidden. And I think often what we think is a bit more hidden than what we feel or the actions that we do. So I think there's something quite profound about that. I also find it interesting that there's almost a second face in this. And it's almost like the frontal personality that we consciously do, and then our unconscious. That's what it says to me. And then the Ace of Pentacles, it's like the face is completely connected in with life, with nature, but there's also a skull. And that makes me think of, I think I've mentioned this sometimes in readings, there's a saying which is et in Arcadia ego, and it means even in paradise I am. And it talks about artists often put skulls in paintings to sort of remind us of the passage of time, and that we will all die, that mortality is part of what we have. So we are lush and verdant, but there is also the sort of like the death, and then there's the rebirth. It's like there's a very interesting energy there. I'd be fascinated, maybe at some point the creator will do an interview with me or something, and we can talk about some of the ideas here, because they're really, really interesting. So I'm just going to do, so I don't want this to be a long video, and I don't want to give away too much of it because I'm going to use it for a reading. But I'm just going to very randomly now pick maybe another Wands, another Cups, another Swords, and another Pentacles. So in Wands, we're just randomly picking the Ten of Wands. So there is that sort of sense of oppression and a little bit of sort of like, not sinister, but darker sort of energy that we tend to get with the Ten of Wands. So I like that sort of way that it's being shown. For the Cups, I'm randomly getting the King of Cups. So again, those beautiful blues and that sort of mysterious sense of sort of like almost a god of water or something like that, a god of the sea. For Swords, the Nine of Swords. I would pick the Nine of Swords randomly, the big worry card. Really interesting. It has that kind of look of nightmares that the Nine of Swords tends to have as a meaning. And then lastly for Pentacles, Nine of Pentacles. Now the Nine of Pentacles to me is sort of like the self-made person, and on a kind of esoteric level is a kind of a manifestation of the magician in a different way, in the sense that it is the independent person who's manifested. So it's really interesting to see what looks almost like a kind of sigil or something like that. It's not exactly a sigil, but something like that kind of energy with the Nine of Pentacles. What can be created from the grounded energy in the mind and so forth. So it kind of connects me between Pentacles and the mind in a way. So it's kind of interesting that I sort of naturally drew out two nines there. There might be a kind of a messaging in that in some way. But anyway, as I say, very eerie, very different. I love the eerie. I love the surreal. I love the different. To me, this is like one of the loveliest of the AI type of decks that I've seen at the moment. Really excited to have it. Really excited to use it. As I say, that's just a taster. There's many, many beautiful images within it, but I don't want to sort of show everyone at this point because this isn't a full-on review or anything. This is just a kind of a first look, a sneak peek, hopefully to whet the appetites of those who like my videos that are about different decks, or that use different decks. So if you're interested, get on over and fund it. It is funded, so it is going to happen. You are going to get it. So there's no sort of question mark over it, but it's now really sort of how many stretch goals can be met and all that sort of thing. And I think it's a very deserving deck, and a very beautiful one, and one that I'm very grateful that I have early in my collection. So thank you to the creator, and thank you to those who have listened and watched. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it inspires you. And I do hope you check out me using it in the video tomorrow. For now, I'll wish you well.